All right, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of the Dance Diaries. I'm Carole, and this is my co-host, Kim.
Hello there.
Welcome, everybody. So today we're going to do a special treat. We're going to talk about the connection with your partner in the dance studio. And I'm sure if any of you people out there are watching where you are regular dancers and pro-am dancers, you will know exactly what we're talking about. And, Kim and I spent some time sort of, discussing what some of our sort of stories would look like. But I got to tell you, in all the years I've been dancing, and a little bit about me, if this is your first time listening to our podcast, I've been dancing for 12 years. And in those 12 years, I've had 9 instructors. Kim,
Wow.
how many have you had?
1. No, so actually 2. I mean, but during the same time that I still had my one instructor, I started 7 years ago, and I stepped into the studio with my instructor. And let's first talk, we're going to get there in a second, what actually connection is. But, and then they brought, a few years later, they brought in another instructor who was really proficient in different styles. So I did dance with him, and then he left a year later. And so I've only had one instructor, but multiple coaches. But I have a question for you. If you were to verbalize, if I ask you, what does it mean? What does connection with your dance partner or dance instructor or whomever you're dancing with, what does that actually mean to you?
So for me, the connection, obviously like anything in life, when you're talking with someone, you are looking at their eyes, you have an immediate sort of, is there an understanding of what two people are going to do together when you're dancing? So that's the first thing.
Yes.
So there's the visual, then there's the physical, ability to sort of connect in the style of dance by which you're dancing. So if it's the frame, how you're going to, the posture, the frame, the strength by which you have that connection with the person, that's there for me. Sometimes it's also pace. So, I tend to go a little faster in my mind on the things that I want to do. I race through things a little faster. And so if you have a partner who can adapt to that, has some adaptability, then that kind of connection would be something that I am looking for, or someone that can sort of reframe and readjust if I go off course. So there's all kinds of different things.
Yeah,
What does it mean to you?
Yeah. So for me, connection means all of those things for sure. And I feel like it's the synergy. It's the energy between two people. It's that nonverbal communication that you have to read, or your partner has to read from you. But basically it's that lead and follow, where we follow and they lead, being the female partner. But for sure, it's all of those. It's the physical clues, but for sure, it's that synergy between the two people, the nonverbal body language and clues and energy. It's really that energy. I've danced with some gentlemen who I have a very good physical connection with, but the energy's off, or there's something just off where I feel like that person is an amazing dancer, but together with me, I'm not connecting.
Yes, I believe I understand what you're saying. So I do recall in some of the different instructors that I've had, you're right. We could go through the motions and do the dancing and learn some stuff, but the ones that I have thrived with more is someone where that energy is really, and it's energy doesn't mean fast. Energy just means that you are feeding off of each other for a better quality outcome, that your partnership dancing is so much more special as a result of being able to work that. And I do like what you said about the lead and follow, because there's a lot of effort put into that by your instructor to sort of guide his or her amateur student, on how to handle that, because it is an ability to be able to feel and understand pace, timing, push.
Yes.
It's not all a grip of the hand or, like you said, posture. It's not just going through the moves. There's just that energy.
Yeah. And I feel like even in each, 60-second dance, that connection or that energy can go up and down. It ebbs and flows. And I think also we can talk about levels of dancing and styles of dancing. We'll get to all of that. And as you go up in level, you actually have to have that synergistic energy when you're dancing side by side and you're not in a close hold with your partner. So I think all of those things, come into play when we talk about connection. But I also think connection can also be personalities between two people as well.
I am 100% in agreement with that, because sometimes if you're not able to see eye to eye on how to advance through how are you meant to be instructed? Everybody learns differently. For me, I enjoy the visual part of learning. I must be able to listen to music. I have difficulty with the musicality sometimes. And so if I am not connecting the music to the instruction, because sometimes some of my instructors are excellent, and I've learned a lot, don't get me wrong. I have learned plenty on just understanding counting and understanding all of that, because it's the foundation by which you need to learn on how to do certain steps and movements. But as a visual and auditory learner, I must be able to hear that music in order to be able to even to advance what it is that I'm learning. And sometimes my instructors wouldn't want to play the music. So,
right.
And that becomes a possible personality problem, because I am going to take lessons for the purpose of joy, for the purpose of an outlet. And if I'm not feeling it, then why am I here?
Right. And so, and I think that's a really good point too, because I feel for these instructors. They have, 8 or 10 students each day, and every person is different, right? Everyone is different. And I know for myself, I'm way outside of the box of most people. And it took a while because I wanted to really advance very, very quickly, as you know, and I kept pushing and pushing and pushing my studio and my instructor to advance me. And I felt for a couple of years I was kind of suppressed a little bit and held back until my instructor actually understood me. And I'll never forget, we were sitting in the studio and he went like this. He went, I finally understand you. Like, I finally
what happened?
understand.
What was
we were
it?
Talking. I think it was that, I was doing lots of competitions. We'll get to that platform also. And then I pulled back on the reins. And I said, look, I want to show up next time a better dancer than I was last time. I'm not sure. And for quite a while competing there, in my mind, I felt like I was just showing up as the same dancer. I wasn't progressing. I wasn't, So I think when I pulled back on the reins and I said, I'm not going to compete until I reach this particular level, that's when he finally understood that, wow, I can really accelerate. And I'm going to, and he even said it. He said, now I understand. And now I'm going to accelerate you quicker than I would someone else.
But accelerate how? How did that not competing give him permission to accelerate? Explain to me what that means.
Right. Well, I think at first he didn't understand that I really, I wanted to progress. Because I think he put me, there's a syllabus, right? Because also we know it's a business and there's no bad things about that. It's a great thing. It's a great business model. But I think that following the syllabus, I think that he felt like, wow, just because she's telling me she wants to go faster in the syllabus, I think I have to follow. But until he really understood that I wasn't happy and that either I'm going to progress at my pace within reason. In other words, I don't want to just run through things and not get them right. But he realized that I was able to learn quicker and get things quicker, and that if I wasn't stimulated that way, that there's a potential that I might go elsewhere. And I think that once we had that communication and he understood, he handled me different than he might handle someone else,
Do you think that that's because he's following the guidelines that are set up by the franchise or the independent studio, where you must be proficient enough in this level of dance before you learn other things? Like, what is it that about the syllabus level that you were at that was not meeting your
I was
progression
done. I was bored.
expectation?
I was bored. I was done. I was bored. I wanted to learn combinations in a different level so that I can do more syncopated, more creative stuff.
Were you doing closed level dancing versus open level dancing?
Yeah.
Because I mean, just there is a difference between there is some flexibility, is my understanding of what you can do if there's an open syllabus to maybe not for some syllabus moves, but you have more flexibility to, do things out of holes or out of partnership to make that more exciting. But there are still rules in open versus closed.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There are rules for sure. But for me, I was ready to, dance a little bit more with my body and syncopation with the music. I was just I was getting bored with just doing the same thing over and over and over. So I really wanted to accelerate quickly, and I did. I mean, I think that, when you look at people, amateurs dancing only 6 years, they're not like full silver, gold level dancers yet. I think that does take some time. Now, am I good? That's debatable. But I'm just kidding.
See, this is what I was going to ask you, because sometimes, and this is where you learn from coaches and different instructors as well, and owners, you may not be ready to go another level, but you are saying something that there's something that you weren't satisfied with, as if there's more that you wanted to learn.
Yes.
You were dancing frequently, if I recall, and either there was some personal, it's not competitive, it's personal growth goals that you were either not fulfilling or you were not feeling like you were changing in any way. So I'm not sure if that's just advancing in syllabus or if
I think no, for me I didn't care about the syllabus as much as I cared more about just moving on to something, learning more. But I agree with you that I'm not a pro, and my instructor might not have thought that I was ready to move on at that time. So I really don't know the dynamics. All I know is that for me, I want to keep on growing and learning, and
Well, with many other dance friends that I have, and we both have, the topic of progression is a big topic actually, because we are not the professionals, no doubt. However, I would say that sometimes it has come up where we believe in our own minds that we are ready to do something more. So that's a tough discussion to have with your instructor and or the members of your studio, like the owners of your studios, to find out, why am I not progressing to the next level? What is preventing me from learning more of this, or you could say, look, I could learn that, but still dance, whatever you all believe, wherever I need to compete or what have you. But for me, that was a big part of it too. I wasn't ready to stay in bronze level. I wanted to learn more. I've told you before, I do what's called, I would ask for the 3-in-1 program.
I love this.
That I do this in my own head, meaning that I come in very technically ready to learn everything I can within a very short period of time. And so if the instructor I have is ready and has a plan, there is no doubt that I can learn maybe more than the average in a lesson. Yeah. And I work hard at it, and I will repeat, and I will do it over and over again. Does it mean I'm excellent at it? Not necessarily, but I am prepared to absorb more learning if that is at all feasible. And I've had some really great instructors, some that are very much like me, that are technical, like technicians, I call them, and they'll have a plan. They'll say, okay, today we're going to review these 2 styles of dance. These are the goals and objectives of today's lesson. And if they know me as my personality, then that's something we're going after. Whereas the creative and the feeling part of me, when I was dancing with instructors, that it was all about that. Feel it, have fun, just go and do it.
I have a
And
cute funny-
that one was very different, right?
I have a cute little funny story about this. So I was dancing all, Carol, literally about 7 days. So in our world, about a minute, right?
Yeah. I wish I could dance 7 days straight.
No, the time frame. I was only at the studio for like literally 1 week. And I remember, oh my gosh. And so we know, so immediately I fell in love with Karina. Karina, I love you. Karina Smirnoff, you know I love you. Mwah. So I fell in love with Karina, and I came into not knowing anything about anything. I came into the studio and I showed my instructor a video of Karina, Smirnoff dancing.
This is 7 days in to your
7 days in, and we were preparing a show dance, and I said, I want to do this show dance. I want to do this. And it was
I'm sure they laughed.
So he didn't know me that well either. And he was really trying to be professional. And he said, do you have any idea how long she's been dancing? I'm like, so I can do that.
But that's like getting a hairstyle, right? You show up at your hairstylist and say, I want my hair to look like this.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying yes.
This is the ignorance of not having any idea what goes into that dancing, that type of dancing, that level.
That is the truth. And to
Just
be
the
perfectly,
ignorance.
anybody who has wanted to do this and you see some sort of YouTube video and some, dance from Dancing with the Stars and you're like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Do you not know these people like practice 8 hours a day,
for years and years?
weeks
I
and
think
weeks,
my instructor said that to me, like, that's at least 10 years at least. And I said, but I can do it.
But think about why you showed him that. You probably loved how you felt watching it.
It brings
You
me to
love
tears
the-
at this moment.
Right? And you probably loved the costuming, like you talked about the energy and the connection.
Oh my gosh.
All
I'm
the
going to link
things-
this video.
Definitely.
I am going to link this video, folks. You'll see. I mean, I watch it out when we're done. I'll show you. I cry right now.
Right. And that's what your connection is, right?
Yeah,
You watch that. And so you're seeking that with your partner. Have you ever been able to do that dance?
No, and we never did that dance, but you want to know, I did, the story. I did ultimately have 2 lessons with Karina.
Tell me. Oh my God. Okay. That I have never, and I've had different coaches. I have had fabulous coaches. I want you to know, all of you. My heart goes
same,
out. Okay.
you guys.
But tell me about Karina Smirnoff, because
I'm going to link that video too.
Most of the coaches I've had a couple of female coaches, but most have been male coaches. What was it like learning from someone who you would admire to and aspire to be?
I was awestruck. So I'll give you the backstory very quickly. It's a cute story. Mary, our friend, also fellow dancer, Marianne and I were out one evening. We're having, like appetizers or whatever, and we're talking. And Marianne at that time was having a dress made by Eric Petrosian Designs. I will link them as well. They make all of my costumes. So at that time, Marianne was having a dress made by Eric. So they were communicating. And all of a sudden, Marianne said, oh my gosh, Eric just said that Karina is going to be in Connecticut and she has 2 spots open tomorrow night. And she's going to be teaching in Connecticut. So Marianne turned to me and I said, 100% yes. So I was always putting it out there. I wanted to dance with Karina. I wanted to dance with Karina. This is from my first week of dancing. So we're all excited. Yes, get us in. And so we were the last 2 lessons of the evening. And so we're driving up there together. And I turned to my friend Mary and I said, Mare, whatever you do, when I go in to see Karina, because she knows how much I adore her and adore her dancing. When I go to see Karina, don't let me go, Karina, and melt all over her. And Marianne said, don't worry, I got you.
But what did you learn
When
on
I
that
walked-
session? Like, what
So you want to
did she
know,
teach you?
I have the video of it. She was so technical and so good, all international Latin.
Nice.
Which was my real first introduction. I think at that time I was only dancing, I don't know, maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years or whatever. And so she is a world champion Latin dancer, pro. And so it was international Latin, and it was everything different because I started with American rhythm. So it was the complete introduction to Latin,
Beautiful.
and also I was her last lesson.
Were you alone, or did you bring an instructor?
No, I was Marianne and I went together.
Okay, I see. Mm-hmm.
And Marianne was the second to last lesson. I was the last lesson. And do you want to know what? She went like a half an hour over even.
Lucky you. That's not
and she
normal.
had danced. That's not normal. And she had taught 10 straight lessons. Matter of fact, when we got there, she was like shoving pizza in her mouth in between lessons. And she actually stayed later because she was very complimentary and, about my possible potential, and she just took such an interest,
Well, one thing I will say that goes back to the connection. That's the sort of the generosity and kindness that these instructors, and I have to tell you, like you said, for them to learn how many different personalities a day that they need to dance with, for her to immediately connect with you, like she did, must have also made you feel like this is exactly where you wanted to be. What you wanted to continue doing is so inspiring.
Inspiring, because here to me, she's all tiny little cute thing, but to me larger than life, right? And
they all look larger than life. Like when you watch all of these professional dancers on TV, I find that they all look like they're 6 feet tall.
I know.
Well, and they're all tiny.
Especially to me.
Yeah.
Like they're all 6 feet tall, because they're just larger than life. And then when she was just so real and just so interested in making me a better dancer, it was very, very inspiring. Very inspiring.
Oh, that is amazing.
Yeah.
My inspiration, I'd say, came from the first 2 instructors I ever had were actually world-class dancers. And so in the franchise studio that I was in, I could not have learned from 2 more amazing instructors during that time.
I know them well.
It was, Bard Height, love you to death, because they exuded such energy and
still do.
stamina.
They still
and
do.
Their connection, no matter if you were dancing during an instruction class or a lesson versus a show dance versus a competition, they were connected, both, as I said, visually, energy-wise, lead and follow, and they were extremely voluminous, which matches my personality. What I mean by that is that they're performers that were able to add volume to the room and presence to the room, and their eyes were never off of me as their amateur student.
Right.
And there's something about that's is
amazing.
Just energetic for me and made me want to learn more and dance more. And boy, when I dance with people that have that kind of sense of showmanship and that are physically and mentally present with you in the dance floor, there's no turning around that feeling.
Right.
Really.
Right. I get it. And they are like that on the competition floor. You guys are great.
And there are many others. I've had many instructors, and you're all great.
Everybody.
But I'm speaking more on my first opportunity to meet 2 people that really were the reason why I have continued and loved to dance.
How did you feel? Sorry, not to interrupt, but how did you feel when you learned that they were moving?
Oh, that was difficult. This past weekend when I was away, I read an old blog from 2015. I'll show it to you. And I could even put it on a link. You'll read my thoughts on losing a ballroom dance instructor. It was my first experience after 4 years of dancing with one of them that they were moving on, as most people do in their careers, to other things to advance their careers. I wrote in there how I was lost, how I felt like I needed to take a break, actually. I took a 2-month break from dancing because I didn't know how to find that again with somebody else. And what I'm expressing here is very different than, sometimes people think, oh, you fall in love with your instructor. No.
it's not.
I fall in love with the love of dancing with my instructor.
Yes.
And I was just so absolutely fortunate to learn from the best.
Yes.
That I didn't know what that was going to be like learning from someone new.
Yeah.
But being open-minded and deciding to come back, I decided to learn new dancing. I took on a new style and danced the style of the instructor that was his specialty, and that brought me into international standard when I learned to dance with Anton after that. So I would say, though, losing an instructor, I would say, is very hard for anybody out there who has gone through that. You become close because, like you said, I get it. When they say, I finally get who you are, or they know how you move, how you like to dance, the things that make you a performer or what have you, or the fact that they were just so darn good. So when I lost my instructor that way, it felt as though I had lost someone.
Like a hole in your heart.
It was a hole in my heart. But I figured, what I learned from that, different than, boy, if you lost your instructor, I'm sure you'd move on. But I would just say this: I've learned to dance with many people. It helped me embrace the idea of learning to dance with many instructors, social dance, and to give back the joy that I learned from that first instructor.
Yes. You guys were very. I mean, I think that's what connected us when I saw you and Jen. Basically, just the two of you on the competition floor, and I was like, "Who are these ladies that are just?" You guys just lit up the floor.
But did we light up the floor because of our partnership, or we just were so happy to have that partnership and we lit up the floor? What does that?
I mean, I think you can answer the question better. I just saw that you guys just lit up the floor. And no, so I was connecting with you. So I think you're
so
you
guess
were
what?
Just
our instructors did a fabulous job then, because part of that is showing obviously a great partnership. But we should not disappear on the floor. Everything should be done to help the amateur partner do everything they can to help them be the best that they can be. Right. But what makes me happiest is that you saw something there. There was an energy by which you connected with as a spectator, where you're like, what is happening there? And I've done that many times where I've gone either show dances or competitions, or I've watched things, on YouTube, and I'm like, whoa, what is happening here? And then you are mesmerized. You can't keep your eyes off at the couple. And you ask yourself, what is it about their dancing style and their connection that pulls and draws you in?
That draws you in. We can have a whole topic on that for sure. Right. But I did. So you and Jen both, and then I don't know the evolution of how we actually, I don't know. You came to maybe my studio to watch a showcase.
So yes, so one thing as dancers,
we just connected.
I mean, anybody in the dance world, you all get to know people, and you get each other's, your vibe, and you meet people from different studios, and that's the one thing I did love about the franchise, experience that I had, is that there were lots of galas, lots of places by which you could meet people. But what I love to do, when I say I do what I love, or do what you love, and do what you love every day. I try to live by that. And so what I do is I go support people in other studios. And I help and want to watch and cheer on. Do you want to know how important that is?
So important.
So important to feel like someone's actually
I know, when you
appreciating
guys always
and giving the
come to watch
confidence.
me, I'm like, I love that.
Right?
And I love to come and watch you guys too. But it's when you know that someone is there actually to see you. There's something that
this is not ego thing.
No,
it's just that you're not
ego
performing it after all that energy, that you're doing it because someone loves to support and watch. Nice.
So it's amazing. Anyway, by the way, guys, if you are liking what we're doing, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to comment, ask questions, make suggestions. We are going to try to honor everyone and everything.
And I would love
we can.
to know the stories. If you put in the comments the stories you have about what you connected with dance, and also the connection with your partner and the thing that's important to you, please please put that in the comments, and I'd love to learn more about that.
Yeah, what
That'd be
is
great.
connection for you, right?
Yeah.
I guess it's different for everyone. It took me a while, actually.
Mhm.
It's really interesting that we are on this topic because it took me a really long time to understand what that meant. You know,
What was
'cause-
the evolution of that then, though, for you, Kim? Because we just talked about what that is, but why did it take that long?
Yeah, I think coming from solo dancing as a ballerina and then coming into partnership dancing right away, the first thing you go to when it comes to connection is this physical, right? It's the physical connection. And I for probably 3 years during that time in which my instructor definitely didn't connect with me at that time, and it was kind of like we had to come
Sterile? No.
we had to come but like we worked on trying to connect because I wasn't a partner dancer, so I didn't really understand until I understood that it's really not this physical connection. It's the energy connection. It's that synergy. It's that, lead and
great.
follow.
I'm going to say this again.
Yeah.
You just hit on something that's so important, I think, for people to hear, because I wasn't understanding where you're going with that at the beginning. So when you say that you were never a partner dancer, I guess as a ballerina, you had your part to play.
Yeah, you're
in
solo.
the chorus or however, I don't know what that is, because I'm not a ballerina.
I was always in the chorus.
Yeah. So, but you had your part to play in a larger group setting.
Yes. And you're dancing on your own 2 feet.
Right. So did you find yourself dancing ahead of your instructor, not looking at your instructor and just doing the movements, and you guys weren't really together? Talk to me a bit about that.
Yeah, I think that, so he would use the word physical. He's like, yes, you're dancing, but it's physical. And I never really, I couldn't understand, Oh, and the other thing is, listen, so ladies out there, especially powerful ladies who control your lives,
right,
leaders, and stepping into a studio and not taking the lead, right, and trying to listen and wait for that lead from your instructor or from your partner who you're dancing with. That took me a very long time to understand what that meant. I don't know why, but that part took me a long time.
It would be the same for me, but I think it depends on also the instructor that you have, because if they were to, they all explain things in different ways. Like I had an instructor once who was very good to understand that I was a very powerful and say I have a lot of strength in my dancing. He would say, could you take it down to 5%? And I'm like, 5%? I don't feel like I would be giving enough of my energy.
Right?
He says, yes, but if I tell you to take it down to 60, you're not taking it down enough for how you're already at 200. So what he was trying to say is you really need to take it down, and even at 5%, you'll be dancing like somebody else is
70%, right? So you and I, in that respect, we share that similar, because I guess I'm strong, well, physically strong, but also I guess my energy too. So not knowing how to tone it down and dial it back so that you can understand what your instructor is trying to give you. That for me took a while. And I think it's also this vulnerability place of letting someone else take the lead,
It's quite possible. For me, it's going back to that lead and follow, and the sometimes you don't need to have a full grip, okay?
Right.
And that sometimes you could walk out of there and you don't need to have that.
Right.
Sometimes it's just the palm.
That's right. Yeah,
we're not instructors. First of all, we are not professionals.
This is just our own.
But I'm just saying that
but
learning to navigate. Sometimes I learned once with my eyes closed. They made me close my eyes and see if I could follow differently.
Do you know, I do that on occasion on my own, and my instructor will say, your eyes are closed. Yes, I know. I'll just do that on my own so I can listen to what he's telling me without me seeing. Yeah. But that's another thing. When you were just grabbing, my instructor would say to me, would you like me to cut my hand off so you can take it home with you? Because I'm like, it's mine, but that's not dancing yet.
Well,
you know?
and most instructors I've had also over the years would say you need to be able to dance on your own, in the sense that you need to be able to carry your own weight, your own balance, your sense of, where is your center of gravity, making sure that you have the balance. So every instructor has had their own method to help teach and establish connection,
Yeah.
and all of which I've learned amazing things, but some that have made me dance on my own, through these steps and making sure that I could do it on my own 2 feet, so that it didn't become heavy.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
For most instructors, if you're not able to carry yourself, it can become very heavy for them.
Yeah.
And so I would imagine that most of the pro dancers out there spend a lot of time going through that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, I've been told by my instructor that I weigh 400 pounds, so I get it now. I never knew what he meant by that, but I get it now.
Right.
But how vulnerable is it when your instructor says, "Okay, do it by yourself now," like in front of them?
That's scary, and that's
Scary,
because
right?
I hated that, because
Yeah.
I would always I'd have to do the counting, all right. And my friend Jen, she's very musically trained. She would have no problem with all of the counting, and I would feel very intimidated the minute I had to let go of the holds or what have you. Especially when there was no music. Remember, I explained how I really need music playing.
Yeah.
I struggled with the counts.
Yeah.
And how the moves, and so that was a level of I had to embrace the idea that just because I look like I'm a great dancer out there does not mean I know how to do it properly.
Yeah.
Or with the proper timing.
Yeah.
And so you have to be open to that growth in your dance journey.
Yeah, I agree.
Do.
And I think it's really good, because when we learn that we can do that combination or those combinations by ourselves, when we get with our partner, we become much better dancers, because we're not thinking, right? Now we know what we have to do, so we could just listen and just let him lead. And there's not as much thought that goes into it. So you start to dance with your body a little bit more, I think.
What I do, actually, I think I told you this, I actually dance by myself in the gym sometimes.
Yeah.
So I run through my dance steps alone. I know that's different than the connection part, but what that's doing, it's teaching me how to be on my own 2 feet, making sure that I can capture what it is I'm supposed to do, get prepared so that when I return back to my instructor in the studio, I have spent some time investing in my own ability to do that on my own. And I try really hard to see if I can, keep up with that over time.
Yeah. Quick question for you. When you first started, did you start in one style? And how many dances did you start off with? Because there's different methods to that too. Because one of my friends did a different thing, which was great for her. But
so I started off where most people learn American rhythm. I did start with that. Also learned international Latin, because I was dancing with 2 people. And so I happened to learn each of their professional styles, meaning what they were both most proficient in. Each of them introduced, I would say, American Smooth a little bit, like bronze level American Smooth. But I was more American rhythm and international Latin in the very beginning.
Yep.
And then I did learn some, 3 of the basic dances of American Smooth. Yeah. It wasn't until many years later that I learned international standard, international ballroom, which I love, by the way. And I discovered through that journey, and even those 2 instructors to this day, my first 2 instructors would say, "You are absolutely amazing in international ballroom. You should be doing that."
Yeah.
I mean, they had no idea. They had no idea, and I didn't either. So I think it's always interesting to see the progression. But most people a lot of people start with American rhythm to learn, I would say, because it's most of it is a lot of the social dancing, and then the American Smooth, learning the waltz and foxtrot are probably the basics of those American Smooth dances, are typical first year dances. How about you?
I started same with American Rhythm. Cha-cha was my first, but then right away we were preparing a show dance because I was scheduled to dance in October in Orlando at a big women's event. So immediately we did an Argentine tango show dance.
Oh, that's amazing.
So I started right off the bat with Argentine tango, which is my favorite style. But yes, American Rhythm and American Smooth, all of the dances in each of those styles. And then it wasn't until later, a couple of years later, where I was introduced to International Latin, but we really didn't. We did one competition with International Latin, just the 5 basic dances. And then we really didn't pursue it from that point until another instructor was introduced to our studio. And just for that 1 year, I danced International Latin, but haven't gotten really back into it. I would like to, hopefully, we'll see. But
what is your favorite, aside from Argentine tango, in each of the different styles? Like when you were started with the connection and you started to feel that energy, and like we started this podcast off with today, what would be the favorite dances that you would have selected from all the different styles of dance?
Outside of Argentine tango?
Outside of Argentine tango.
So the connections, when I really began to understand connection is when we started to, have choreographed open routines, and that was rumba cha-cha swing. And that leveled up my game a lot. So I think that in American Rhythm, it would be rumba, cha-cha, rumba, bolero, cha-cha, East Coast swing, mambo, just because I don't dance mambo enough. We don't practice it enough. And then, of course, I love salsa and hustle. We'll throw those in there. And then, that's it in there. And then American Smooth for me would be waltz, foxtrot, American tango. I take it back. Viennese waltz, foxtrot, tango.
Got it. Well, and tell me then about Argentine tango. Why did you love doing Argentine tango? Because that's a whole other secret society.
That's a whole other secret society for real. And from my understanding, and I don't know if this is to be factual, this is just something I read somewhere along the way, or I heard that it is the hardest style of ballroom dancing. And I think that's because of the connection, right? So Argentine tango is really a little bit different, even though every style of dance we need to have the connection, all of those levels of connection that we just spoke about. Whereas Argentine tango, it goes a little bit deeper because it's not really choreographed or there's not really combinations per se.
I'm not sure if I agree with that, though. I mean, from what I've watched now, I'm not a big Argentine tango student, but I have had it's been a beautiful dance that I've watched. And from what I look at, there's a lot of technical requirements of Argentine tango, like the footwork and the when we talk connection again, there's instruction being given by the body, like by the foot of your leader,
right,
in order to have the outcome of what the follower is supposed to do in Argentine tango.
That's correct, right.
It's very there's precision involved with that.
Exactly. So when I was just saying there's not combinations, I kind of take that back because your instructor can make combinations and you can do the same thing over and over.
Right.
But generally speaking, you're just listening. You just wait and listen. You could think we're going to go in this direction. He could put you in a totally different direction because he's really, I'm not sure if that was the connection or if it was just the technicality or the high level of challenge.
It's very challenging.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched at the Manhattan Dance Sport recently, I watched some people do the Argentine tango, and I could not get over the footwork. I just couldn't get over. It was so spectacular.
Yeah. I'm not at that level, but I also like the tricks and
you
like,
are.
no,
But
I'm not at that level.
I will say, and then there's some there. I would love to do a podcast, Kim, where we interview the folks that just do that, where they compete at the U.S. national level for Argentine tango. I think it
that
would be great to learn,
amazing.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
Let's
a lot
start
of
lining that
the
up.
viewers will line that up for sure.
Yeah. We'll start to line that up. But yeah, so that's the whole thing about connection. And I don't know that, for me personally, I think every time I go into the studio, I have a different challenge with a different part of the connection, because it depends on, it's kind of, I don't know if you feel this way. Like sometimes I'll leave the studio or even, competition or whatever. And I'm like, wow, I killed it. And then the very next day you're doing the same thing and you're just really off, and I don't know what that's about with me, but, you have like these really great days and these really, really not so great days. So I think getting back to the connection thing, every time that I walk into the studio, I think that that day I might have a different challenge with a different area of connection. Do you know what I mean? Because there's so many different levels of it.
I think if I look back on, I'll look at the answers to my favorites and the most challenging of my connection dances. Okay, so if I start with American Smooth, tango and foxtrot, I feel the greatest in. No, I should say that. So real quick, I say so. Tango, I love because it's the strength of it all, right?
Yes,
So,
American tango.
American tango, and then the Viennese waltz is for the absolute. But it used to be my challenge dance.
I'm challenged with Viennese waltz,
but now I find myself floating away. I don't know what changed.
You did a beautiful Viennese waltz the other night.
Thank you. But I don't know what changed over the years, but that has now become a dance that I no longer am afraid to dance or feeling like I'm going to mess it up. I go in full on and I just love it.
I love it too.
In American rhythm, I always loved the rumba. I thought there was something really amazing with that. And then East Coast swing I really loved. I still to this day still feel challenged in the cha-cha, if you would believe. And you would think that should be like the basic and all basics of things. I'm not sure why, but there are times that I get ahead of the music. And so I need to work really hard with my instructor to stay in syncopation and to stay making sure that we are, not off beat or that I'm not dancing ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so I have to actually say good night because I am headed to the studio and I can't be late for that.
Well, thank you for watching episode 2 of the Dance Diaries. I'm Carole.
I'm Kim. And until next time, guys, we can't wait to hear your comments, your questions,
and please subscribe
suggestions.
and press like. Thank you.